Hello everyone. Razorblade Mango here. So this is the IRL camera in full widescreen, full screen. eh. So this is gonna be one of the videos where, if you couldn't already tell by the title, that's not gonna be about video games strictly speaking. This is gonna be about myself, kind of doing a catch up chat with you all because how many of these have I done now? Maybe this is the third one, maybe in the third in like 3-4 years that I've done a video like this where I kind of just come IRL, talk to you guys about what's been going on mentally. Um, I didn't really have a reason for doing it like this. Let me actually move the mic because I don't know if this is gonna be better or not, but I find it distracting to like constantly move my head out of the way so it doesn't look like I'm going like and like hiding behind the what do you call it, pop filter. I say that as I like bumped the microphone by accident. I don't know if that came through. This video is already turning out to be pretty haphazard, but I'm gonna roll with it because you know what? That's the whole point of these videos. The whole point of them is to present myself in the most raw, unfiltered way where I'm gonna do my best to not have any cuts unless I burp or yawn or something like that. But you know what? Maybe if I burp, maybe I'll keep it in. Maybe you guys want to hear a burp every now and then. I don't know. I'll rip one out. Get some extra spiciness into this video. So, for those who are unfamiliar with what these kinds of videos are, they are where I come and talk to you all and just give you guys kind of a progress report on where I've been mentally, life updates, I guess, where I've been physically, I guess. So, I don't really have any notes similar to the past times I've done these videos. I don't really have any notes. I kind of just come here and just start talking, and whatever comes out, comes out. Oh, God. I hope that squeak didn't come through on the mic, because that was a pretty squeaky turn to move this thing. But anyway, again, tentacle, touch and go. But we're going to leave it in, because that's what it's like to talk to somebody raw and unfiltered. And I would know, because that has been what I've been training to do, talking to people in this kind of format for, God, how long has it been now? 4 years since I seriously started going for my psychology degree. Life update, I actually got my bachelor's last May, so that was cool. And now I have been at grad school since this semester. So there have been this year. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised that I feel like it's already. Oh my God, it's already October. The year's gone by so fast. I've been pretty busy this year, so that's why for me it feels appropriate. Now there have been years where I haven't really done. I feel like I haven't really done shit. But then the year will be at its end and I go, oh God, I just wasted a whole year. Like, why does it feel like I didn't really do anything? This is the rare year where I actually feel like I hit some pretty major milestones in my life. Graduating with my BA, going into grad school, going to a brand new school, new university, meeting new people, new environment to navigate, new social ladder to climb, new dynamics to deal with, things like that. And I would say it's been my experience with grad school so far has been very positive. It is when I went into grad school, um it started when cuz I was very nervous going into it. And then when I went to my orientation for grad school, I had two big takeaways from it. So the first thing is that I felt humbled seeing the people in there. because I'm no spring chicken, but I saw a lot of younger people in that room with me. And I must admit, like I'm in my 30s, but I was very intimidated to be around them, even though they were like really, really nice, really, really chill people. That's the other thing that I was surprised to find out, that when you get an image of grad school, you kind of think snobby, pretentious kids. They're not kids, they're adults, but you think pretentious, snobby, because oh, look at me, I have the means and the brains to go get a master's degree. Ooh, look at me. But these people at my school, they're some of the nicest people I've ever met. Honestly, like I've been shocked by how friendly these people have been. I've been shocked by how friendly even people that, whether it's people that are just coming in for their first semester like myself, or they've been there a while, they're just very friendly. There's every, like nearly everybody I've talked to in all of my classes has been really friendly. Like some people, and I'm not used to people. I When I was, when I was going through college, a lot of the time I just was writing it solo. I didn't really have that many friends at my old community college, and then when they left, I didn't have any friends for a long time. And then at university where I was getting my BA, I didn't have any friends there. And I kind of tried to go to like the club day and try to figure out if there was some kind of club that I can join, but I just didn't feel right being there, and it just seemed like off, and I just didn't really I didn't really find any club that really spoke to me. I think the only one that was like related to my interests was some like Genshin Impact club. And I'm not joining no damn Genshin Impact club. I don't even play that game. So I'd be a total poser. But going to grad school, there are just so many people that have come up to me and like introduced themselves just without even knowing me. And the thing is too is that I saw grad school, I have to say past tense because I'm in the middle of it now. I saw grad school going into this. I saw it as an opportunity to kind of reorient myself socially, because I'm somebody, and I've talked about this in past videos, where I am very, despite how I may come across on YouTube, especially with some of the harsher language and the theatrics that I can do, I have, for the most part, I have been a very shy person throughout most of my life. And that may come as a surprise to some people out there, considering how, like, whoa, I can be on the channel. But by nature, just because of the way I was raised and, like, some of the stuff I went through as a kid, the best way I would describe myself is I feel like an extrovert that is trapped in an introvert's body, where there's this core layer that is very like, I want to talk to people, I want to make new friends, I want to have more social dynamics, but there's this shell around the middle layer, or the core, where it's all of this self-doubt and insecurity and fear and anxiety and stuff like that, and it's just difficult to get through that outer shell in order to really break out and show people and be comfortable to show people who I really am, to summon up the courage to show people who I really am and not hide away in fear. Because if I had, and I made it a point when I started my first week of grad school, I made it a point in my classes of introducing myself to literally everybody who walked through the door. So on the days that I would have class, I would sit by the door, and no matter who it was, didn't matter if it was a guy, girl, whoever, walk through the door, I would introduce myself, and then I would ask for their name, and I would do my best to remember it. And that it was uncomfortable to do that, but it really worked, because now I have a normal group of people that I hang out with, like my regular crew. I have people that I hang out with from my class that's one day, and then a different set on the next day, and then I chat with certain people on the other days, and it's like, even though it's only been a month, I'm like, whoa, I already have a social circle at this place. And I wonder if that would have happened if I hadn't made the first steps to introduce myself to everybody. I don't know, but I did this because I really see grad school as this new opportunity. And I want to take advantage of as many opportunities as I can. If I see an opportunity, like socially, I'm going to take it. And that's something that's like, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to do that. I don't want to go through grad school with any regrets. I want to take advantage of as much stuff as I can. Within reason. Within reason. I'm not going to go bother people that want to go sit in the library or people that are getting work done in the student lounge and be like, hi, let's talk, or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I will, if it's somebody that kind of looks my way and, like smiles, like we make eye contact, we like see each other, I'll say, hello, like my name's Adam, blah, blah, blah. What's your name? And then they respond back and blah, blah, blah. And that's worked out so well that I've had the majority of my grad school is like chicks, like really pretty chicks. And I am not used to really pretty women coming up to me and introducing themselves. It's a really strange experience. Like it's not like I haven't had a girlfriend or anything like that. I have female friends. It's not like that, but it's just within a new environment. It's a very strange experience for me, for like these like really like nice looking people to walk up to me and introduce themselves first, or like say like, oh, you're Adam, you're from my yada yada class and whatever. And I'm going like oh yeah, you remember me. That's different. That's interesting. That's something I never really experienced in college so far, because I really just kept to myself. There's one that one of the people I talked to from one of my classes, I didn't even know she existed. I was probably one of the students that I kind of like lost track of, and I just said like, hey, hi, hello, my name's Adam, blah blah blah. But I guess that must have made some kind of impression on her or something, to where like one day I was sitting in the student lounge and I was reading before class, and I'm not really paying attention to my surroundings. I kind of notice maybe somebody is there, but there's other people sitting at different tables. And I hear this voice like, oh, you're in my so-and-so class, right? And I just like, my brain doesn't even process that somebody is trying to get my attention. It's just like, that must be for, my brain just goes, that must be for somebody else. Just ignore that. And I just keep reading. And then I hear like, hey, I hear it again. I go, hey, they go, hey, you're in my so-and-so class, right? Like, you're Adam, right? And I look up and I see it's this like really, really cute girl. And I'm going around like, like, huh? like me? Like, you're talking to me? And she just looks at me. She's like dead ass looking at me in the face. And she's like, yeah, you stupid. Like, you sitting there ignoring me the first time. Like, she didn't say that, but just like, I felt bad because she's really cool. She's chill to talk to, and I've talked to her quite often this past month. But it's like, it's a situation like that where I am not used to like being so socially active at college, because especially in an environment where I don't know anybody, and that scares the shit out of me. Or it did in the beginning. It was very stressful, where there was just something going to that orientation and seeing all of these people there. And I mean, even like right in orientation, with anyone that I was sitting around, I would introduce myself. I would go out of my way to say hi and stuff like that, and ask them questions and things like that. And it was, I think so far it's paid off. It's been fun. The problem, the problem, and this is probably where we're going to get to like a little bit of the bulk of the video, is that it is such a positive development that my brain does not really know how to process that. Like, it really, it tries to process it in the only way that it really knows how. And that is to deny that is the reality. B, try to like get me back into this default toxic bubble that I've described before, in one of these videos, and also to try to prevent me from taking chances out of fear, out of certain uncertainty. One thing that grad school, when you're, I don't know how many of you out there are ever gonna watch this and go like to grad school for psychology, but one of the things that they have you really do is a lot of introspection. You'll learn about things like law and ethics, diagnosing people, and the extraordinary number of methods and subtypes of diseases and cases and things like that. You're going to learn a lot of technical stuff. What grad school for psychology also does, if you're going to someplace right, is really drilling down into what you think, how you feel, how you engage with your own mental health. And I'm going to tell you guys, as somebody, like, even after I've been in therapy for quite a while, like going to grad school, it's a whole nother level of just brutal. Like it will really push you, and it will force you to confront some really, really uncomfortable emotions and things that you probably don't think about. And I'm not saying it like this is a bad thing. I'm saying like, oh, this past month, I would put this like on par with some of like the deepest introspection I've ever had, where it's been so effective going to grad school and in facing a new environment, plus at the same time also gaining a new level of introspection and finding ways to visualize what you're thinking and feeling. And like, I think one of the greatest skills that I got out of therapy was visualizing my thought process. And I've described this before, where, and I'll give you a more example, or more, I'll get into more specifics about how I always see my brain. So this is still a mental image that is kind of true, but I would say before I hit that threshold of gaining a new social environment, and there's my brain before grad school, and then there's my brain after grad school, where the pre-grad school brain, I describe it as I am in the center of this circle. And in the center of this circle is my brain. And it's in this very toxic bubble, like this green tinted bubble. And then everything around the circle is this fog. It's this multicolored fog that represents both, positive possibilities, negative possibilities. I just don't know. That's why it's a fog. It's mystery. It's the mystery of the unknown. And here I am, like dead in the center, walking around in this circle between my brain, because I've left my comfort bubble and I want to venture out into the fog. But there is this chain that is linked to me that goes back to my brain. And anytime I try to go and step closer and closer to the fog, my brain just tightens the tether and just like tries to drag me back in to that bubble, the toxic bubble of comfort that I've called it before. And my brain just goes like, no, you're coming back here where it's safe. Not taking any risks is safe. Not trying to meet new people is safe. Not trying to take advantage of new opportunities is safe. But it's also crippling. It's mentally crippling. It's emotionally crippling. That's why the bubble is green. That's why it's tinted green. It's because it's just this, it just makes me feel horrible being in this bubble. Like, I've been in this bubble for so long, and that like, it is comfortable despite how bad it is for me to be in this bubble and not venture out into the fog to see what's out there. And then the mental image that I have after going into grad school and really like drilling down into the nitty gritty of how I think and how I feel and working towards that. Because if I don't have I'm not going to be much use to people if I don't have a hold on my mental and emotional state, which can be volatile at times. because I am somebody who I get anxious. I there are days where I feel like depressed. There are days where I just feel sad. Like, I think what sucked is there was like last year there was a whole like 2 weeks where I just felt blue. And I didn't really know why. It was just this it was like this switch was off, and like the happy switch was off in my brain. And it almost felt like there was this like little filter around my visual perception of the world that just made colors seem dimmer. And that's how I felt for 2 weeks last year. And then one day I was driving to meet some friends for lunch, and I just noticed how bright the sun was. And then I noticed how much like brightness was around me and how like all the colors looked great. And I thought, wow, today is a beautiful day. And it was like that switch just instantly flipped back on of being happy again. So my brain trying to get me back into that toxic bubble of comfort, it can come out of nowhere. It's a sneaky little bastard. And it's not doing this out of malicious intent. That's the thing. Like, I make my brain sound like this villain, and it's not. What I recognize is that it is trying to do this because I have an overactive amygdala. And if you don't know what the amygdala is that part of your brain. It's like that little walnut shaped thing in your brain that triggers your fight or flight response. It's used to get people out of danger. But when you're somebody like me who associates things like new possibilities and risk as fight or flight, as danger, that amygdala is going to reawaken and just go nuts, where it makes you think certain potentially positive opportunities are these like things to fear. They are these things to run away from, and it's going to do everything in its power to inject your brain with as much like negative feeling chemicals as possible in order to get you to not take that chance, in order to get you to stay in your bubble, stay in your lane. Don't take any chances. Don't talk to new people. Don't do any of that. And the brain, my brain, it has a bag of tricks. My brain definitely has a bag of tricks to try to get me into that bubble again. But the new visual that I have of where I am in my headspace right now, currently, is it's like I am in this tornado, and I am at the eye of the storm where there's this calm that's in the middle, and I'm on top of this rock column, and I'm standing there, and it's difficult to kind of orient myself. Like I'm standing, but sometimes I like where the wind can kind of blow me over a little bit. I'm not in the tornado, and the tornado represents my like whirlwinds of anxiety and fear and sadness and anger and self-pity and stuff like that. Like this like mindset that everybody hates me and things like that. It's just like, that's the whirlwind. That's what it feels like, this tornado. It's this tornado that I am in, and I get whipped around and around and around, and I don't even realize how I got there. I don't know what was the trigger to get there. I don't know what I associated with what thing I was seeing, with what memory that I have, or what feeling that I have in order to get my brain to go, I got you, fam, and just push me into the tornado. And then I'm going, like around and around and around, and I don't even know I'm there. And then I wake up, or not wake up, I realize I'm in it, and I'm like, how the hell did I get here? Like, what the hell's going on? But I am in the center now. I'm in the eye of the storm, and it's all whirling around me, and I'm doing my best to just stand still and look at it objectively of what it is. It is a storm. It's a tornado. The problem is that my brain is also standing behind me or on the side and is going like, why aren't you in that tornado? Get your ass in that tornado. Get in there. And it's very angry. It's an angry brain that I am not in there, because being in that tornado is its default state. Being sad and fearful, that is the default. That is the thing that my brain is used to. And it does not like me trying to change. It knows what the neural pathways are, and it does not like it. And it will do lots of things to try to get me into that. It like I said, it's got its bag of tricks. It will try to do the sneaking up to me and pushing me into it when I'm not mentally oriented. It'll try to bring up a past memory and be like, hey, don't you still feel bad from this thing that you did way back when, or this humiliating thing you went through when you were a kid? Doesn't that feel bad? Like just feel the negativity from that memory that you have, and just just feel it. It's okay. You can just feel it. Or it will. The new thing that it will do, this is a new thing, is that it will try to get me to more like eat my feelings. So try to like numb my feelings with food. And like, because I'll be driving around and my brain will go like, hey, you're kind of like, you're probably a little too happy right now. And, we don't want to risk that with some pain. Why don't we go stop and get some pizza? Why don't we go and get some burgers and fries and stuff like that? Why don't we do that? Why don't we get some hot chicken tenders? Why don't we go do that? So you can get some happy chemicals in your brain from eating this crappy food. It's temporary, but it tastes good, right? And then when I go, nah, I'm good, and I just keep driving, that's when my brain kind of like does the thing where it's like, hey, I said we should go get this food and we should eat it. You're going to do that, right? And then I go like, no, I'm not. And my brain goes, okay, I'm going to hurt you if you don't do this. I'm going to work extra hard to ensure that you feel pain, that you feel unhappy, that you will feel the default state that I want you to feel. And it will do it. It will like rush in, just like it'll try. It'll really, really try. And again, I have to stress, it's not doing this out of malicious intent. It's doing this because that is all it knows what to do. I have done a great job of training my brain over many, many, many years to think like this, to just be in this state. And I think the fact that I have some kind of visualization of what my mind looks like, and this insight, this objective insight into what is going on, now it has to work overtime in order to get me to go back to that place, because it does not like me breaking away from the bubble. It doesn't like me stepping further and further into that multicolored fog. It doesn't like me not being in the whirlwind of pain and being sad and things like that. And that's something that, for anybody that is suffering out there with like depression or anxiety or things like that, one of the big recommendations that I can give, just based on my experience, is trying to visualize it. This is where I have to put a word of caution in here, because for the record, I usually despise AI art. Like I hate it. I think it is a cancer. I think it's I think it's already progressed way beyond what I expected it to. I think it is going to damage the financial careers of artists out there. I think it's going to create this really scary time where people in the future might not need things like movies and TV shows. They might not want other people's works of art, because then they'll AI generate it using like Sora 2 or ChatGPT or something like that. Something terrible like that. I hate that fucking AI program has the name Sora. I just hate it. But the one time I would recommend using AI art, even like a professional clinical setting, and I've done some research on this, and I think the research on it is quite interesting, is AI art. This is the one time, because it can be useful for giving people a representation of what goes on in your mind. When you don't really have quite the artistic skill to draw what you're really seeing, or you don't really, you can't really there's some people that just simply don't have a mind's eye where they can visualize things like that. That's where I think AI art is useful, because you're not going to be able to find an exact Google image search of what you visualize your mind as and what you're thinking and what you're dreaming and stuff like that. I think for dreams it can really be helpful as well, because it can visualize what you're seeing after you've woken up. Because once you've been awake from a bad dream, you're gonna forget it. No matter how bad it is, you're gonna forget about it in like a couple hours, just because that's how dreams and nightmares work. I've had a lot of horrible nightmares in my life. I can't remember a single one outside maybe 2. And they were when I was really, really, really young, just because they were so bizarre. But I would recommend, if you're somebody who feels a certain way and you really want to get a handle objectively on what it might look like inside your head, I would recommend using ChatGPT to kind of just go, hey, generate this image, and just see what it does. Like, it has limitations, because you aren't allowed to use words like torture and suicide and things like that. And I that's why I know this, because I was testing it, and it's pretty remarkable like how vivid it can create these images. Like, I have the tornado image that I described. I asked it to generate that, and the result was really frightening. I'm not going to put it on here because I don't want to flag the fucking video. It's like, oh, I'm using AI art and get all that crap, but it was a very powerful image. In fact, it actually added a detail that made it scarier. And I find that image to be very helpful to me, to actually visually see it. And like, what does this look like? What is this abstract image of me versus my brain look like in like an art form? And ChatGPT actually did a really good job of it. It's scary in more ways than one because of how good it looks. But for normal people who don't want to can't afford to like hire an artist, don't want to go through the process of telling the artist what they want, waiting for the artist, stuff like that, I think for clinical uses, for personal uses like this, where you weren't going to hire somebody anyway, you suck at drawing, you don't really have a good grasp on what you want to draw, this is where it's useful. And I think seeing that image really helps, because it gives a face to fear. It gives a face to pain. And if you are able to visually look a facial image of your pain and fear in the face and look at it and say like, no, I think that could do wonders to really helping you towards, relaxing and calming down and things like that, and knowing an enemy when you see one. I mean, I say enemy, but your brain's not doing it again because it wants to hurt. It's not doing it because it gets pleasure in. My brain, at least, does not get pleasure in this. It feels terrible to be back in that toxic bubble, but it also feels terrible to leave it at certain periods of time. But I'm going to keep doing it because I like the way I feel when I have this much objectivity. I like the way I feel when I can visually see what I fear. I like the way I feel when I take a risk and it pays off. Even if it doesn't pay off, even if like I try talking to somebody in the student lounge or whatever, and they have no interest in me. They're just like, whatever. And I've had that happen like once or twice, where I say like, oh, hello, and they just are like, and they just don't want to talk to me. And it's like, sure, you're kind of like hurt and a little bit in the, like, that sucks in the moment, but I took a risk, and it felt good to take a risk, even if the result didn't end so well. Or, I mean, what am I doing? I'm not gonna die. So, I think taking risks is helpful for me. I think exposing myself to new experiences, or experiences that I run away from, help. It's good to take risks. What's the saying? Is like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I want to take some more shots. Even if the hoop is like all the way on the other side of the court, I want to at least give it a try and see like what I can do. How far can I push myself? How many opportunities can I take advantage of? Things like that. So, yeah, so that's what's been going on with me recently. That's kind of the mental headspace that I am in right now. It's moved on from that toxic bubble of comfort and the wall of illusion to like now having the tools to objectively look at and recognize what is going on in my mind. And I think it's been an improvement because I'm way better compared to where I was like 5 years ago, to be able to know when my brain is about to try to push me into the tornado, and I can plant my feet into the ground and go, no. Even when my brain gets angry and yells and screams and threatens me with more negative chemicals and unhappy memories and pain and feelings of just guilt and shame and humiliation and stuff like that, it's like I am going to hit you with everything I have. And I am at this space right now in my life where I just want to plant my feet into the ground. I want to look at my brain and go like, do your worst, because I am not going anywhere. Like, you might at times push me into that tornado but now I have the self-awareness and I have the objectivity to recognize much earlier when I have failed and been shoved into that tornado. And I can get back out of it and get back into the eye of the storm. That's where I am right now. And that's a great place to be compared to just a few years ago, where being pushed into the tornado felt like something that would happen every other day, and it sucked. But now I'm doing better. And it's not perfect. I still get there are days where I just feel sad, or I just feel like, moody or stuff like that for one reason or another. But I have better tools now. I have a firmer stance in the ground. And like I said, I'm just going to tell my brain, just do your worst, because I'm not going anywhere. So, anywho, I'm going to end it here. I think this is one of the shorter ones that I've done, but yeah, that's really all I have to say today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.